regularly scheduled city council meeting. If you will all please rise for the invocation and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance, I'll ask Councilman Jimmy Conyers to give the invocation, please.
All right, y'all please bow your heads. Gracious Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day, for our friends, our families, and all the blessings you've given us. We ask for your guidance and wisdom as we try to navigate these uncertain times, and just help us to make these decisions to the best of our ability that will benefit this community. And we ask all these things in your Son's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Conyers. First order of business will be to approve the minutes of the regular city council meeting, the work session and agenda meetings which were held on March the 12th, and also the minutes of the special emergency meeting called on the 16th of March. Does anybody have any changes, additions, or deletions to these minutes?
Make a motion we approve as presented.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as submitted. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye. 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 Opposed, say nay. Okay, the minutes are approved as submitted. So we're going to go ahead and continue our council comments from the work session where we are discussing possible closures of city parks and recreation lands, and also considering the leaving open of those. And I believe Councilman Robinson, you were speaking last. Chief, you were at the podium. We were talking about, just the logistics of having to enforce some of these items. Can I get any kind of consensus on the ballparks? Chip away at this.
I think they probably should be closed, as much as I hate that.
Anybody else have a comment on that?
Leave them open.
I'd say leave them open at this point.
I want to just say, I would say leave them open, but to groups of 10 or less.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's my thought. I understand from Chief that that's virtually impossible to police at this point, and so I
get, and I with that understanding. I mean, we're not. I don't think any of us expect the police to catch everybody doing something all the time. And if you had 11 people out there, and if y'all missed that you didn't do your job or weren't performing, I mean, because I think it's a low priority to patrol the parks, but we need to ask the citizens to use those and refrain from meeting in groups of more than 10. Unless somebody has another number. I'm just trying to find a happy median there. Could we agree to that? Could we agree to that, Kevin?
Yeah, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Again, all this stuff we're doing is depending on how the people react to this, because if they don't react very well, we're going to be forced to make stricter and stricter rules as best we can. So we're trying to work with everybody to make it as pleasant as we can. It's just depending on how the people react to it. And I would certainly hope that they react in a positive fashion to it. But I have no problem. And I really don't, like leaving the soccer fields open. I guess I've seen a couple of kids out there kicking the ball. But unless you play games, what's the purpose of going out there?
You could have an organized
Kicking
practice.
the ball. Or baseball.
You could have an organized practice by, I don't know if a travel team's even of any sports playing anywhere,
Yeah,
but.
they're not playing anywhere.
Yeah, but the chief did see how many people in looked like a pickup game in Barnwell? About 20 or 25, so it's happening. But it would just give them the authority, if they see that happening, to stop it and disband it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd close it.
I don't think we're going to be 5-0 on every bullet point here.
We're not.
So back to I think the other sticking point, I think that, once again, boat launch open.
well let me
Close parks with playground equipment, leave other parks open.
let me throw this wrench in there. Valanta does have a playground, 2 playgrounds.
Oh, and while I'm thinking about it, dog park.
I mean, just so
think-
that we're
Well, if Volanta would be closed by the definition of having a playground.
There's an upper field that doesn't have playgrounds.
Isn't there one at soccer field?
Robert, there's a playground at soccer fields?
I mean, not Elders.
There's not one. The plans were to put one in there at the new soccer
There might be
complex.
some stuff at the new soccer, but it's locked anyway. You can't get on there unless a key, so it's just
It's
Founders.
locked, but you can lock Volanta over there as well.
You
I
can
think
lock,
that-
yeah, you can lock the entrance to where the playground is at Volanta, yes.
I think that would fall under the playground rule. Wouldn't it? All right, then we're back to the discussion of the pier area.
Walking traffic, except for the pier.
And the beach.
Well, if
I
they
think-
walk
I don't
on the
follow
beach, they're
your
violating the state law,
interpretation,
if in
yeah.
fact that's the,
When you say beach, you're considering the road going by the duck pond part of the beach, or?
That's not the
whole
Gulf
north
of,
end?
that's not the Gulf of Mexico, that's Mobile Bay, Jay.
I know, but I mean, I'm looking at it from a more realistic view of what is policeable and what is not. And I think when you're talking about looking at, you know, I just don't think this is the time to get cute with an interpretation. If it says beach, it's beach, you know, and then that's it. And you know,
But you got beach all along South Mobile Street as well by the boat ramp. So, you know, I think if you limit all that to foot traffic, you know, you're not gonna have somebody backing up with a picnic and, you know, breaking out all the beach games. It's foot traffic, and if a few people go on the beach, put their toes in Mobile Bay, I think we're all right.
Lisa?
There are picnic tables and playground equipment on that side of the duck pond area.
You have to shut down the north side along with that, it goes in that rule of no playground equipment. Shut down all playground equipment.
Yeah, we just shut it. There's a gate there, right? That gate can be closed? Yeah, just close it.
So then at that point, though, all you've got open is that one little area on South Beach, right?
Yeah, but you're gonna have a straggler walking down to the duck pond. I don't think they should be arrested.
Yeah.
well, but I mean, we're saying you can't do it, but if we're saying if it's a straggler, let them go, then what's the point of saying it's closed? If it's either a rule and we're closing it, or it's not.
You can close it, just like you can close all those parks. But, you know, by that definition of closing all public, that the governor proclaimed of closing all public and private beaches, that means if you have a, you know, by that interpretation, if you have a beach in your backyard on Scenic Highway 1 there, then you're violating the law if you go out on the beach.
Well, I would say,
But that's up to the state to enforce, right?
correct, that for the
Let the
city of
state
Fairhope's
enforce that.
perspective, we can only control what property is in our domain as far as what's public that we control. And so if there are restrictions on private property, they're not being made by us.
Well, we may have to close North Beach because of playground equipment.
Well, if you gotta close that, then you might as well just cut it off at the top of the road and say nobody goes down the stairs or down there foot traffic either, because then 75–80% of that area will be technically closed.
I agree.
If you close that and the pier.
Slippery slope.
Yeah. You know. Mayor, we'll get back to this. We'll try to get a resolution together.
I wanted to first, just for those who tune in for the council meeting and maybe haven't heard some of the other discussions during the work session, I do want to update just kind of the last few days. When Governor Ivey did the state of emergency, she said that on March 19th, which was a Thursday of last week, beaches abutting Gulf of Mexico would be closed. The decision was due to tourists and big crowds. Our beaches abutting Mobile Bay are being used by our community. We don't have tourists right now. I do think that the article that kind of went viral did bring a lot more people than just our community, because it was a lot more crowded on Sunday. Let's see here. We've actually been asking people to do more than what the state is asking. So as far as the city being proactive and most of the citizens abiding by this, I don't think we've had any issues the last, 3 days. Let me just get down to some of the stuff I don't want to duplicate. I say all of this to say first, to calm a lot of the fear that did happen this weekend. I mean, it was a lot of people that were very, very concerned about maybe the city feeling, being lax and not doing the things that we should do to keep our citizens safe. People are going to be mad regardless of what we do, but I do think it's an inevitable. I'm not saying close down everything. I think public sidewalks and people walking around, they're going to do that, and they're doing it now, and I think it's been very, very good. The reason the park and people want to, walk down there is because it is the most desirable place in Fairhope. So of course, it's going to be more crowded down by the bay and the pier. And I do think it will continue to grow, unfortunately now, because we're talking about it, and whatever decision you make, everybody in Mobile County and Baldwin County are going to know about it now. And we have to keep our essential employees safe. At the top of the list of essential employees is our police department. And, Chief is doing a great job with kind of flexing their time, making sure the shifts are a little different. She's doing a lot of different things. But having all the parks open, or just some of them open, is going to tax our police department. And we can't say, we trust everybody to do the right thing, because yes, 98% of them are. But that 2% is what we need to flatten the curve. And that's the biggest thing you hear time and time again is, we're all going to go through this, just like you go through a cold. There's a beginning, middle, and end. But flattening the curve is the most important thing we can do, because we don't want our emergency services to be exhausted. And there really is no difference between what we're experiencing right now, and we're good right now, and what Italy's going through right now. And it was because they were lax. Okay, we have to learn, and we have the privilege of learning from decisions that were too lax. And we have an elderly community that is a lot higher than most other cities. I hope that they're staying home, and I think many of them are, but they have caregivers and they have, other people. It's just, it spreads. I'll have to send y'all a video of how it spreads, and we're not at that point yet. But we will be, and it's going to be a big deal. Just wanted to mention Waffle House is closing. Some people call it the Waffle Index. I mean, that is an emergency. And I don't know if they've gotten to this area yet, but they are closing. All of our state parks are closed. We are not taking something from people. We are adjusting things to keep us all safe. Let's see here. I got everything on here. Again, and I stated this, and I'm going to repeat it for the council agenda, is that we are going to get through this, and we are going to look back, and directors are putting together kind of a plan to book, which we don't have right now. We're playing it by ear and planning as we go. But I think it's very important that we're making a decision now on whether or not we look back and say we took things overboard, or look back and say if we did things sooner, we might be in this position. And I'm in favor of erring on the conservative side, and most people are going to agree with you. You're going to have people that are mad, but we're not preventing them from walking on sidewalks, from getting out and enjoying you're just trying to restrict some of the areas that are very, very popular because it is not going to be managed. And 98% of them are going to do the responsible thing. But there is that 2% that's not. And
So,
that's-
Mayor, if I may ask you, you've heard what several of us have proposed. What did you hear that you would change?
What now?
What did you hear that you would change about what was being proposed up here?
I just think we have to be consistent, and when we start getting in nitpicky, well, this park, and we can do this and that, I just, I hardly want to say this, but it's not like if you close the parks and you see somebody down there, it's not like you're going to shoot them on sight. I mean, I think you do this because it's going to get it to a point where everyone does feel safer, and I think everyone will be safer.
What specifically, though? I'm looking for specifics. What would
Well,
you
what I was gonna
recommend?
mention,
Are you
too-
saying that you would recommend closing every park in town? for
Well,
instance?
we were first just talking about the pier, but I do think anything with playgrounds, for sure. People were playing volleyball this weekend, and I don't think there were many that were ever over 10, but you are throwing around a ball, and that ball is contaminated. I mean, everybody's touching it. So we took down the nets. And I think we're going to make little decisions like that every day. But, so if you close down those parks and you're trying to prevent people from not only congregating in less than 10 people, but keeping that distance among those people. And big parks, you're not going to say, okay, this park can only have 10 people. I mean, it's totally fine to do that. I think it's just keeping people walking, getting outside with their families, but just keeping to the trails and the sidewalks. When y'all mentioned the vehicular traffic, I mean, I think vehicular traffic going down, but you refer to Chief with her and what she thinks, but that's safe. They're in their own car, It is the walking and the pedestrian that is what people fear will pass the virus around.
But I think that the vehicles take people down there and then they walk a short distance.
Right, but if it was one of those
I think very few people
things-
walk a long ways to the park and then walk out into the park was kind of what I was thinking. So it doesn't sound like you're that different than what we said then. If you closed everything down at the pier, it's almost back to what was being proposed. I mean, right?
I mean, that's what my feeling is, yes.
All right, we'll take a stab at a resolution because we need to amend the agenda. So a resolution, Marcus, we got to get the agenda amended and then we're going to have public participation. Sorry. That's why the 30 minutes taken up talking about the other, we needed it in the work session. But that's fine, we need to talk about that too. So I would say a resolution, with the usual whereases in there, Marcus. Whereas we desire to protect the health and welfare and safety of the public, that City Council deems the
Sanitize that. All you gotta do is just fill in the blanks.
Says be it resolved by the governing body of the city of Fairhope that the city council hereby authorizes the closing of the following parks and other public spaces. And number one, parks with playgrounds. I think that speaks for itself. That would include the North Beach because it has a playground. I think it includes Volanta, the gated area, because it has a playground. And that stands on its own. You don't have to separate those out into additional parks. Let me just skip down to the part that said closures are to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens due to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. Said public areas shall be closed until further notice is what I would put in there. park that shall remain open.
You don't even have to put that, if you limit it just to
Yeah.
closures, I just added that in there in case you wanted to enumerate the
Yeah.
ones that are still.
Well, I mean, do we want to specifically state the boat launch? Or if it's
I
not
don't think
closed?
that's a
No
park.
ours in the
No.
park.
Well, it's city property.
Yeah,
It's not a
but
park.
so are sidewalks.
So we don't need to enumerate
So
it
the
if we're not
streets.
closing it.
Streets.
Okay, what about the dog park? We didn't discuss the dog park. I understand that staff closed the dog park.
I'll tell you why, because everybody pets the dogs.
I'm sorry, Mayor, I didn't.
Oh, I'm sorry. Everybody pets each other's dogs. And that's how it's spread. I mean, these are articles that I've been reading, that, you know, you don't
Do you
touch,
have
that was one of the things with arts and crafts, too.
Poor dog.
You want to add dog park to the list of closures?
I guess so.
That's your recommendation, Mayor?
Again, just to keep consistent, yes.
Yeah.
Councilman Brown?
No comment.
I'm going to add it. Parks for playgrounds and dog park. What else? Is there anything else that would need to be listed there?
You gotta have the beach or the pier area, the beach listed.
Oh, the pier, the city pier.
Now, what's
Well, the
your-
beach has a playground.
The city pier and North Beach area and all vehicular traffic.
There is a residence that lives down there, but I don't know what I don't know. They might be closed up right now, but,
If you say city pier in North Beach area, that south walking trail is still open, which
right.
I
I
don't
feel like
have a
that's
problem with
almost part of the sidewalk, but I don't know.
I think that's I don't know. What
Right.
do y'all think? I need an answer, and we're almost there.
What about tennis courts?
Oh, yeah, the tennis courts I heard were closed as well.
Well, the tennis courts is because, and Chief can speak to this, there's, you know, a lot of people hanging out there. They're not just playing tennis, which is what we were hoping.
I need an answer on that, too. Tennis courts, golf course. Golf course has been open to walkers.
That's what we were gonna do starting today, and it was just gonna be open to members, and we were just gonna let them play.
You got to force them. I mean, and you got maybe 2 to maximum 4 on a tennis court.
Right, which would be totally acceptable. I will tell you that I've gotten, you know, a lot of emails from citizens that live there, then they're older and they're concerned, but my thought was that that would actually be one of the things that, you know, that you bring your own equipment, you're not usually around, you're not in a golf cart. And again, you go back to the consistency.
I'm not sure I see the consistency between keeping the golf course open and closing the tennis course, so.
Right, and
Use your own
I
rackets,
just
your
have
own
to base
balls.
it off of what we've been seeing.
Well, yeah, but at least with tennis, you are sharing the same ball during the same game and both touching the same thing, whereas there should be no reason to touch another human being in golf, so.
Careful how you word
I
that,
mean, it
Jay.
I was
just depends on
thinking
how
it very-
angry you
You're
get.
grabbing that,
Specifically there.
the group, you grab the flag stick in front of, you know, the group. Somebody tends the flag, somebody else putts out, they have to pull the flag out to put it back down. The next group comes through, they all, you know, 2 to 4 of them touch the flag. And that's just as nasty as a tennis ball. I'm just saying.
Take the flags out or leave it in. What about disc golf? What about those guys?
Yeah, what about disc golf?
What about bicycles?
I think bicycles are fine.
I think
I
bicycles are
mean,
fine, too.
it's just, I mean, that's usually on the road. I mean, you see families in their cars and golf carts, and so I'd kind of, I don't know. I feel like that would be similar.
you leave the courts and the course open and close the public meeting spaces in there, like the, wherever they come in and eat and do whatever they.
Oh, that is closed.
That is closed.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm really having a problem. If we had a problem at the tennis courts, Chief, that is why we have the police.
But it was like
We
kids.
had groups of kids that were collecting, that were gathering there, and that's the problem they're having, and we can take care of that.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, are we gonna close the tennis courts and leave the golf course open? I mean, I don't know. If you got the 2 tennis players out there, it's hardly a group of 10. You get back to, husband and wife playing a match of tennis, I don't know. 2 friends that, where do you draw the line?
Only husband and wives can play and share the ball.
I gotta have some answers.
I'd be okay keeping the tennis court and golf course open. I mean,
You're gonna have the golf course open, so what they do now is members can go out there and
Right.
walk, but the clubhouse is not
Right.
open, so we're not getting revenue, but the course is being used.
well,
It'd be members only, would this be the same for, I'm okay,
Yeah.
would the tennis courts only be open to members, because they're,
do they have tennis members or?
I wish Jeff
yeah,
was here
we
to
have
speak to
tennis
that.
memberships.
Yes. But yeah.
But that doesn't, if there's nobody there restricting access, then anybody that shows up can use it.
I think, this was.
Same with golf. There's nobody out there monitoring. Anybody with a pull cart can just show up and go play.
Yeah. I
Well,
think that
I mean,
you have the same situation in golf with, if you're worried about germs though, with flags that you do with tennis court. Tennis people have their own equipment and they bring their tennis balls. Do you err on the side of caution, close them both?
I don't think so. I think we're sort of getting further and further down the rabbit hole here. And, I think you have to make a global decision to benefit the most people possible. And I think closing all of the things that are most likely to contribute to some spread of what we're dealing with, parks with playgrounds, areas of congregation that generally occur. I don't think we have to go so far as, hypothesizing of ways to possibly transmit this and start limiting those, because you could do that truly with everything.
Well, if you do say you
Grocery
limit to
shopping.
groups of
Yeah.
10, and I didn't say, you said something earlier, Mayor, about how many people would be in a big park, and I said groups of 10, not 10 people
I'm
in
sorry,
the
yeah.
park. So if you limited things to groups of 10 or less, or you could say less than 10, but you definitely need to define 10 or less or less than 10, it gives the police the power to break up something at tennis courts if you got a bunch of people just congregating there. That was my thoughts behind that. It gives them some authority. And police have, great latitude to interpret what they think is, necessary to be broken up. If you got 4 and 4 and 2, and it look like they're minding their business, they're not gonna do anything probably.
They can just yell out their windows.
Yeah, I mean, you
instead
could
of
have
confronting them.
8 people on the same whole golf course. Well, you could have 4 people on the green, 4 people in the middle of the course waiting for their approach, and 4 people on the tee box. You have 12 people on one hole. Y'all wanna leave tennis courts and golf open?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not closed. We got right now Dog Park, City Pier, and North Beach area. Is what we've got.
Playground, all the playgrounds, right?
I'm sorry, Parks with Playgrounds is on there. Parks with Playgrounds, Dog Park, City Pier, and North Beach area.
Unless something else comes to our attention, that's pretty much it.
That it? Okay, so let me read this. Be it resolved by the governing body of the city of Fairhope, Alabama, that the city council hereby authorizes the closing of the following parks and other public spaces: Parks with Playgrounds, Dog Park, City Pier, and North Beach area. Said closures are to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Fairhope due to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic. And then the said public spaces shall be closed until further notice. So we would need a motion to amend the agenda to add this.
I make a motion we amend the agenda.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second to amend the agenda. Any further discussion? Okay,
Jay, Atlanta, if they lock off that front gate, that'll close the playground area, but that could still leave 2 fields open.
That's right.
And 2 batting cages.
That's right, okay.
that's right. Okay, all those in favor of amending the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, that will be item number 12. All right. Public participation on agenda items. Yes, sir. Thanks for being patient.
Good evening. I know this is a tough one for everybody. Did I really hear to close down the dog park because people are touching dogs?
That's how it
Other
transmitted.
people's dogs?
They say that's how it transmits,
Did I-
if somebody's been
I'm kind of
exposed.
deaf. Is that what I heard?
I'm not sure if you can hear, can you hear?
Try it again.
Okay. The CDC has recommended, and that was one of the topics we brought up during the Arts and Crafts Festival, is if somebody is exposed, or they may be asymptomatic for 2 weeks, they have a dog and they've been petting it, if somebody else pets the dog, they're saying that that's a way that it can be, transferred.
So I did hear that correctly.
This is not coming from me, this is coming from, the articles and the people that say how to prevent from being exposed.
So are you did I hear you, are you recommending they close down the dog park because of CDD and people touching dogs?
Well,
That
I mean,
doesn't sound like it.
I'm hoping that we take the CDC very seriously, because that's what, when I was explaining flattening the curve, that's really our only goal right now. We already know we're going to go through this process and we're going to have a lot of people get sick.
Well, I don't want to be adversarial at all, but it might be in my nature. Talking about inconsistent, that is inconsistent there. Number 2, did I hear, I need to smile and talk softer. Did I hear that y'all intend or considering closing down North Beach? To
Yes, you did hear that.
all traffic?
Yes, sir. You did.
And I believe I heard, that came up in the conversation, we talked about toys down there and making it a playground. I heard that, I heard it twice at least. If that's an issue, I'll be happy to go down with a screwdriver and take those seats out of, how many swings are there? 4? 4?
Not exactly sure how many are down there right now. I know we
got
added
quite
some
a bit of
playground equipment. Yeah, I don't think it's just the swings. There's been some new playground
It's just a
equipment
few
added.
swings, so why base shutting down the beach because of a few toys down there? That doesn't,
Well, the other reason mentioned was that, to Councilman Robinson's point, is that has been closed by the governor as well.
I heard conflicting on that, sorry, but
Yeah, the CDC.
some said it was waters adjacent to, or land adjacent to the Gulf of Mexico. They
It
say
does say
that's-
abutting the
yeah,
Gulf of
abutting or
Mexico.
contiguous. And then I heard somebody say that is not abutting the Gulf of Mexico, the beach. And all of the eastern shore is a beach, that's why they call it a shore. All of eastern shore is a beach, but you don't need to shut that North Beach down because a swing or two and because it, ask people to stay off the beaches like they do with dogs. Why penalize everybody? Just have them stay on the sidewalks. I'd hate to draft that, but I'd be willing to take a shot at drafting people stick to the hard surface drive walks, but that's catastrophic. Appreciate you keeping the South Beach open. No problem with the pier, but I think I'd really appreciate it if you'd readdress the closure of the North Beach. Is that possible, or is that?
Well, we have a motion now. It could be discussed when the motion comes up, when the agenda item comes
I
up.
guess I'm too late for that one, huh?
Well, no, it's item 12. It's the last item on the agenda tonight.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time, everyone.
Okay. All right.
Don't disallow petting dogs. They can pet dogs anywhere. I mean,
Okay.
I will clarify that the playground equipment is from the CDC. That was their recommendation. The playground equipment, that came from the CDC, not Governor Ivey. The playground equipment, the parks that have playground equipment should be closed.
That's rather broad playground equipment. It really is.
It's where they what?
Rather broad
Well, I mean-
playground equipment. That could be a bench, or you have to have moving.
I mean,
parts.
pretty much all of these
This is getting-
rules are broad.
is getting
And we
too
just
far.
have to interpret it the way we
Okay.
we feel
Well, we
to
should
keep
have to
people the
interpret the
safest.
laws. They ought to be specific. If it have hinges on it, something like that, then.
All right.
I'm going nuts here.
All right, is there anybody else who would like to address the council on agenda items 5 through 12? Yes, sir.
Jim Peck from 413 Azalea. I'm curious, did y'all check with Daphne or what their policy is and how it compares? I'm just raising a question. If they're going to take the same approach,
Yeah, no, I did not.
and I'll just,
I didn't, but I'll tell you what I did think of, and I did go back to where, some of the state guidelines were, actually limit gatherings to 25 people or less. And we didn't, when we were talking 10 earlier, I thought that was a little bit more restrictive, but if I'm not incorrect, the state guidelines was to limit gatherings to 25 or less.
The CDC says 10.
The CDC says 10, the state said 25.
And the president.
Right. Well,
Okay.
the thing about other parks is they're not as popular as some of ours. So I went down to some of the public parks in Daphne, and there was hardly anybody there.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying. I think if we're going to look to other cities, we need to look to cities that are further down in the
like Gulf Shores.
timeline. I wouldn't look at any city in the state of Alabama. I would look at cities that are in,
Yeah,
2
like-
weeks ahead of us.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How about American Legion? That's their private beach, right?
That's private.
Right.
But they'll have to,
Yeah, they have police
according to
around.
Ivy's, and we're not at that point now, but according to Governor Ivy, she did close the public and private beaches.
Okay.
But this is just addressing our public
But
beaches.
you said that didn't apply to Mobile Bay, right?
Exactly, and that's not what we're talking about right now.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, thanks.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone else? All right, if not, I'll close public participation. We'll go back to comments. Council, do you have any further comments?
I do not. I would just say, well, I say I do not, then I said something. I'd just say use your best judgment. Stay safe, be smart, follow the recommendations to the best of your ability. Don't put yourself at risk. Don't put anybody else at risk. And just be smart and use good judgment during this difficult time.
Councilman Conyers,
No comments.
Councilman Brown,
No comment.
Councilman Boone?
No comment.
Okay, I have no further comments, and thanks for all the patience. Okay, item 5 is a request of the Planning and Zoning Commission, Planning and Zoning Manager Hunter Simmons to request the City Council cancel the Planning Commission and the Planning Commission work session meeting for April the 6th, 2020, and move all items to the next meeting, which is scheduled for May 4th, 2020. And I think that I can simply just amend that resolution as written. Clerk, don't you think?
Yes, that's
Okay, so I will entertain a motion to grant the request to cancel the Planning Commission and Planning Commission work sessions that would be held on April 6th and move them to the May 4th, 2020 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Do we want to move it to that specific date? Since we may or may not be having a meeting then, you just want to address that at that time, I guess?
I think we'll address it at the next
Fair-
meeting.
fair enough.
We're required by law to have 2 meetings a month, so we'll have one for sure prior to that, God willing. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries. Item 6 is a resolution the City Council approves the selection of O'Donnell and Associates for professional consulting services to monitor groundwater levels at well fields for the Water Department, and approves and accepts the not-to-exceed amount of $5,000, and hereby authorizes Mayor Karen Wilson to execute an annual renewable 1-year contract with O'Donnell and Associates for annual groundwater level monitoring at the well fields. Entertain a motion to pass this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Okay, the motion carries.
Council
Items-
President, Just a quick thing I wanted to mention, that I'm doing my mayor report at the end, because we haven't said anything about that during this meeting. And then also wanted to mention, just for y'all's sake, the ones on the agenda that are already, were approved in the budget. I mean, just for your, if we're trying to get out of here. But I wanted to mention to anybody that's watching that I will be doing my mayor report at the end after the council meeting adjourns. And for council's sake, when you've already mentioned item 6, this was for special testing, professional services, $2,500. This is one of the things I believed when we did the state of the emergency, one of the items I thought should be increased, because it's over $2,500. It was $7,500 for, contracts last term. Item 8 is budgeted, capitalized, but asking to use budget from 3 million gallon tank outside cleaning and painting repair to do both, and y'all mentioned that. 9 is budgeted, capitalized and under budget. And number 10 is a little over budget. I don't have it in front of me, but it's 6, 8, 9, and 10 that were already approved in the budget.
Okay. And thank you for reminding me, Mayor. So let me make that announcement again, if you didn't hear the mayor, that she will be giving her mayor's comments at the conclusion, after tonight's meeting adjourns, for the sake of time. We voted on item 6?
Yes.
Thanks, okay. Item 7 is a resolution. The City Council approves the selection of BMI Audit Services for professional service for the audit of dependent eligibility for the City of Fairhope's health insurance plan per the recommendation of City Treasurer Kim Creech, and hereby authorizes Mayor Karen Wilson to execute a contract with a total cost of $10,369. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I will add to that Councilman Conyers and I have met with the treasurer and agree with the process of the auditing of the dependents. Okay, no further discussion. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, the motion carries. Thank you, council. Item 8 is a resolution that the governing body of the City of Fairhope, Alabama hereby rescinds bid number 15-20 for consecutive replacement of wells number 1 and number 8 for the Water Department to Griner Drilling Services with a total bid proposal of $159,960 for both wells. And due to budget amounts, the Water and Sewer Superintendent's requesting to use budget from the 3 million gallon tank outside cleaning and painting repair in the amount of $100,000. So the total cost would be for wells number 1 and 8 at $159,960. I'll entertain a motion to authorize these replacements and expense.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, please say nay. Okay, motion carries. Item 9 is a resolution. The City of Fairhope vote to purchase a backhoe under a lease purchase contract associated with bid number 35-15. This backhoe is a Cat 420 F2 ST backhoe loader for the gas department. Lease purchase at a cost of $48,615, and we authorize the mayor to execute the buyout provision of the contract. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Item number 10 is a resolution of the City of Fairhope vote to procure a backhoe under a lease purchase contract associated with bid number 38-15. The backhoe is the Cat 420 F2 ST backhoe loader for the Water Department. Lease purchase at a cost of $48,615, and to authorize the mayor to execute the buyout provision of the contract. I'll entertain a motion for the buyout of the contract.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. For discussion, I would have done it under the last item. So we're buying this out for $48,615. Sometimes it'd be nice to know what did we over the life of the lease. I guess there was a 4-year lease purchase. And the total was 99.8, and so we're paying 48 now. Does the 99.8 include the 48? So we paid 51 prior?
I don't have the exact how much we paid total, but just for you, let you know, we did check to see if, we weren't sure what's going on in the economy, so we did check about could we go month rent with these. If we did that, we would lose the set price, so I got them to give me what is the market value of these machines, and the market value came in around 52. So just to give you an idea of what what the market value is on these machines compared to what that price was set 4 years ago.
Okay. I just, it goes back to the whole, lease purchase that we've been talking about, and for some items, we want to, we're getting recommendations to turn them in, like the golf carts, and then for these items, we've been leasing it.
I'm gonna bet that the
It's
99
4 and a
is-
half years old, and now we're paying $48,000 for it.
I'm gonna bet the 99, so the first year, we typically don't have a payment for a year, delays that, so the 99 is probably the next 2 years' payments.
51,000
And then
divided by.
and then you're paying this on top of it, I would guess, or is it?
No,
These were a typical operating lease, we paid monthly,
Okay,
and so we've been paying.
Okay.
Monthly
Yeah.
leases.
Now, a lot of those lease purchases that we've been told about in the budget have been like $1 at the end of the lease, or at the end of the lease, you own them, and no big price at the end.
These were not set up like this, and you have some of the golf equipment that's set up like that, that was prior to me coming in.
Okay.
As y'all done, but, the departments have planned, at least I know, at one time, they were planning to buy these out because they thought this was a good deal, that the equipment was still in good shape. So that was the reason for the
Okay.
departments want to go ahead, they know the machines, that's my understanding from the departments.
Okay. All right, council, any other comments or questions? All right, thank you for that, Kim. All right, hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries. Item 11 is an application for a restaurant liquor license by Robert Evans for the Hope Farm LLC, doing business as the Hope Farm, located at 915 Nichols Avenue in Fairhope, Alabama. Chief, any reason to deny this application? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the application, council.
so moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, motion carries. Item 12 was a resolution resolved by the governing body of the city of Fairhope, Alabama, that the city council hereby authorizes the closing of the following parks and other public spaces. Number 1, parks with playgrounds. Number 2, the dog park. Number 3, the city pier in the North Beach area. Said closures are to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Fairhope due to the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, and said public areas shall be closed until further notice. Entertain a motion to pass this resolution.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I got a question. There was some barricade tape on the set of stairs there that go down to the south beach. Is that,
We'll take care of that tomorrow.
okay?
We'll get that removed.
Okay. Any other questions or discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries. Public participation, if you have anything else to bring forth before the council?
Just so it's clear, and Marcus brought this up, when the Volanta Park behind the gated portion of Volanta Park has access to the playground. Even without going through that gate, you do have access to 2 different fields and 2 different sets of batting cages, which there is no prohibition on being able to use those at this time. Or Barnwell Fields, that's right. Okay. Just want to make sure that was clear and everybody knows
Right.
that.
I do wonder if we should have put a person limit on that. Also, keep in mind that the tennis courts are open, the golf course is open,
I wanted to clarify, is it,
for use by members.
the Barnwell Park is going to be open?
They were not specifically excluded.
I'm thinking of the police.
Yeah, no, and I don't, you know, again, I'd encourage everyone to exercise your best judgment in doing these things, but I would say that if, you know, in normal routes of patrol, if you see a large gathering of people, to break it up, anywhere.
That means they have to go to Barnwell and patrol that all day.
Well, I'm not saying go out of your way to patrol any of it that you don't already patrol. I mean, but if you're not, I mean, if we close it and you're not patrolling it as part of your normal route, how are you gonna know whether anybody's out there anyway?
That's right.
See what I'm saying?
You know, to me, it's less of a burden, right?
Yeah.
It's less of a burden, not more of a burden, if it's open.
I mean, I don't know how it changes the burden at all if it's, you know, if it's either part of your normal route or it's not.
Right.
And if it is, and you see someone there and it's open, you can stop them if it's more than the approved amount. And if it's closed and there's anybody there, you still stop. So I don't know that it,
I still felt like we should have put a provision in here to prevent groups of more than 10 from gathering. That way, if you see a pickup game that has 25 people there at a ball field, you know, what do y'all think? No?
I think you can just add that recommended by state and CDC. I mean, that
Yeah.
covers a lot too.
I think that's reasonable. Because that is what the current guidelines and recommendations are, is less than 10 people.
You want to amend that? Amend this to say,
Let me rescind my motion.
okay, motion's rescinded. Does somebody want to make a motion to amend this for the addition of groups of 10 or greater will be disallowed in public areas?
So, yeah, I'll make a motion for that.
Subject to what, whose interpretation? I say groups, I mean, a group is a group, not a 10 people on a sidewalk, or, I mean, is that the recommendation, though? They say groups, right?
Yeah, but it's a moving number. So you just say not to exceed the recommended CDC limit?
Well, are we talking now about, I mean, Jack, the way you just phrased it, we're talking about public groups anywhere? Are we talking about just
I
at
said
these?
in public spaces.
Yeah, I mean, are we talking about anywhere at a public space in Fairhope, or are we talking about just at the parks that we're talking about?
Well, all I was trying to control was what are public spaces, you know, which would be parks. I mean, in other words, a birthday party at an open space with greater than 10 people wouldn't be allowed. I mean, that's one of those measures that the CDC guidelines are saying it. We're leaving everything open, but we're saying keep your social distance. But if you don't put that in there, then they're allowed. I mean, the police are powerless to stop a gathering of 25 people at a ball field.
You say congregated groups of 10 or more prohibited at any field or public space that remains open at this time.
Yeah, at any of the remaining areas. I think you got to put something in there.
No, I'm not disagreeing. I'm just, you know, I'm just trying to think out loud here about the wording of it, because you're getting, you know, again, a public area are the sidewalks downtown public areas? And that if you drive by and see 11 people, are you now forced to stop and say, hey, guys, you need to break it up? I mean, you know,
Yeah.
where does it end?
Well, that is where it is. That's just where it's at now.
Well,
That is where it is.
what we're trying to do is limit ourselves from having to maintain contact for our safe and health, and our health as well. So we just need to keep that in mind. I mean, if we see that, we're gonna, whatever you decide, we're gonna take care of it the best we can.
I think opening those is going to be more work for the police, because if we know it's closed and they have a little bit more, I don't know, it's easier to look at a field and say, the park's closed, make sure that nobody's there, than to go out there and monitor, you know.
Then we're right back to you're saying close everything then. I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you're going to leave it open, you ought to have some guidelines for that.
I think whatever the
I think
CDC current
we're
recommendation
offering
is
people
what
a
it
lot
should
of
be.
options here by leaving a lot of stuff open, but we ought to also, you know, abide by the warnings that say that groups of certain numbers shouldn't be allowed.
That's exactly what we said Friday.
I know, but I'm trying to make it official because there's no enforcement provision. I mean, if you don't have a provision in the code and the police come tell me to break it up, I mean, and I can say under what law or under what authority, right?
I'm
There-
just saying that this is what everybody is, we're going back to the exposure and why we got to this point.
Yeah.
I think if we don't do it, it's gonna get, the problems get worse and worse and worse. So, I mean, I think we need to do it. That's why I made the motion to, let's amend it to 10 or less people.
You want to amend it to 10 or less people?
Uh-huh.
All right.
Public area.
Okay, I have a motion to amend the resolution to limit public gatherings, gatherings of 10 or more in public, on public property. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any more discussion? Limited to, what'd I say, 10 or less, right?
10 or less.
That's less than or equal to 10 persons. Okay, any discussion?
So Barnwell is open, Chief. I mean, that's one. I know you'd like to close Barnwell, but any final thoughts on? What's that?
We'll close patrol it.
I mean,
You'll what, patrol it?
Close patrol. It'll be in our patrol area.
Is it not currently?
It is.
If
I'm
it-
saying it's being on the south end of town. I mean,
if it were closed, would y'all have to still patrol it though?
we would, I mean, we would. It's still in our patrol area.
I'm just trying to figure out what makes your life easiest. I mean,
They don't want to be a part of Fairhope anyway.
lock it all down, send everybody home?
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on the amended? Okay, on the motion to amend the resolution, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, now, on the amended resolution, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I see you, Richard, I'm sorry. I'm going to let you speak. You know why? Because we amended the resolution, and it is on there. I'm going to give you, you got 3 minutes.
I heard the word interpretation. What is y'all's interpretation on what the governor meant when she said close off the beaches? What does that mean? Stay off the sand, don't get within 100 feet of the water? What does that mean? How did you interpret that?
I think she specifically stated the sandy area is what she said.
Okay. Isn't that a stretch then to take it 100 feet in? So I was trying to figure out, okay, y'all think she meant the sandy areas?
Well, I think that's what she
She said
specifically
sandy
stated.
beaches.
People
The
ask me
sandy
what we
beaches
talking about,
abutting.
and they'll ask that, and I'll say, I don't know, so they stay off the sand,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Your point being the road should be kept open for walking, or the walking path. Is that?
I don't think I'm getting anywhere with this. I appreciate what y'all are doing, I really do. And again, I'm confused about the playground thing and why you'd want to shut down the North Beach, because it's got toys up there. It doesn't, I don't understand.
Yeah. Well, my point would be that there's just no way to keep playground equipment disinfected. There's no.
Well, take the seats off, I'm serious. Dehinge them.
Yeah, well, I would argue that the more significant portion of that argument is that the beach is closed by order of the governor. And so that would be the entire North Beach area. Now, I mean, and then you get into a policing issue, in addition to the fact that it's got playground equipment. I think the North Beach has been closed by order of the governor. That's
I heard that.
That's my view. And so, you know, if you want to leave open the area, I mean, I don't know what the point at that point would, to leave some little small portion of it open to create an additional policing area for our police and not really limiting the exposure which is what everything we're doing here tonight is designed to do.
I think it would take police resources to.
There's a bone in contention for many years with the Corps and ADM, all that stuff, and that deals with navigability and mean high tide. Mean high tide's a big thing, right? Your mean high tide doesn't get up on the sand, so actually there's some loss of jurisdiction if you extend that too far in. I live on a sandy bluff. It can just be carried too far, but you've answered my question, but I sure wish you could take them swings down or whatever it's keeping the people off North Beach. That ain't gonna happen, but appreciate your time.
Your concerns are noted, and we'll continue to, this is dynamic. It's very dynamic.
Don't stay awake too long at night.
It's very dynamic.
North Beach swings, okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, since I allowed him to speak, is there anyone else? Okay, do we have a motion and a second on the amended item? Okay, any final discussions? Okay, on the amended resolution, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Okay, motion carries. All right, does we have anybody else that wants to address the council? Okay, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.